open the April 16th sewer commissioners meeting at 4:30. Elaine, aye.
Bill Watson, aye.
Brian Donahoe, aye.
Do we have anybody in
Yeah,
the audience?
Lauren and Eric.
from CDM.
Okay,
Rich was gonna join us as well. We've got the final change order in front of us. It's $527,365.63. And we have members from CDM online if there's any questions or anything. It's 7 pages and it outlines,
is this closing out that contract?
yes,
Yes, it should be.
Lauren, that's a yes?
Yes, it should be, yes.
Okay,
I had couple of notes while you're finding.
Dave, you had a chance to review these? Yeah. You good with it? Yep. Elaine, you're good with the numbers? So you're
Yeah.
good with it as well? Okay.
I mean, I had no problem with the numbers at all. I mean, it seemed like it was fine. I had one note that I had that just wasn't that big a deal. And this, that I noticed, this actually also took care of some remediation on the existing facility, right? Some bubblers and some things, and so it got into some maintenance that we legitimately had to do.
Yes, yeah. Some of the change orders, there was one in particular when we came into the point of getting the occupancy permit, that there weren't some exit signs where they should have been. The lighted exit signs in case there's a fire, an emergency power outage. So we had to add on some of that. That was added in there. Some of the initial design of the new office didn't have phone or internet in the office, so they had to add those drops. It was also when they did the power fail test on the whole system,
Right.
that the path of power coming in, when we ran on generator power, the way everything was lined up initially didn't power a bunch of the new equipment because it was taken off an old existing panel. So they had to rewire some of the pathways, the electricity coming in through the generator, that it would actually power everything when we went to emergency power. So there was some additional stuff in there that was necessary to tie everything together.
you'll see that this has in the middle of the change order form, the extended final completion date is June 1st. We have this memo from Methuen asking for an extension to June 15th to accomplish these 4 things. And Dave says some of it might already be done.
Yes, yeah. The significant one is this VFD that's failed. They did a replacement of the VFD a week ago Friday. And after a week, we got an error message that there was a VFD power short, like a ground fault. So we're trying to schedule them to come back and look at that. We don't have a scheduled date for a return yet on that one. That's probably the most significant. Item 1 and item 2, I believe, are already done, which was that loss of power test that I was telling you about. They rerouted some of the power for that. The T&M for the exit signs and the IT runs into the new office. That was part of the exit signs was part of the occupancy permit, so that was something we kind of had to do.
But these are all included in this change order. There's not going to be a change to the change order. Yes,
Correct.
these, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
And then there's just a remaining punch list, but that's basically money that's held back as part of the contract till we finish it. So that won't be any change order stuff. It's just regular payments.
It would probably take two votes, one to extend the completion date to June 15th. And then the second one would be to approve the final change order 7 of $527,365.63.
All right, I'll make a motion to extend the extension of the contract final completion date to meet Methuen Construction's June 15th, 2024 date.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Elaine, aye.
Aye.
Bill, aye.
Brian,
Okay, and then the motion for the,
so I'll
Change
make a
order.
motion to approve the change order as submitted with that extension to the date we just voted on.
Second.
all in favor? Elaine, aye.
Bill, aye.
Brian, aye.
Thank you, CDM, for everybody who got on board. We're all set. You can go enjoy the beautiful night.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Have a good
guys.
one.
Have a good night.
You
All right.
too.
Reach
Bye.
out if you need anything else.
Okay,
Bye.
Thank you.
okay, let's do the
Thank you.
12/12 meeting minutes.
Yeah, I looked at these real quick. I'll make a motion to approve the December 12th, 2023 minutes as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Elaine, aye.
Bill, aye.
Brian, aye.
Now, is Paul Gallagher gonna be joining us? For the codification?
Yeah, he did mention that he'd be before.
I just saw him, we just introduced Everett to him on the way in.
Oh,
He commented on how the first time in the entire time he's been here that the sewage treatment plant smelled, and I said, that's because we're fixing the odor control system.
Oh, he was up there today and there were 2 septic haulers dropping.
Oh, that'll do it too.
And the wind was going that way today.
I knew we were doing the
Yeah,
other thing, so I said, it's either that or one.
yeah, there was some
Septic
live
controllers.
action.
It's worse when they're pumping.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they're blowing it out, they're blowing it out.
so we're still getting septic calls routinely now?
Oh, yeah. For this time of year with the 3 tanks, we've been able to increase what we're taking in, so hopefully we'll see that as the budget year moves forward, that, there's more of a contribution from the septic haulers.
Must be a lot of people who are on the edge with whatever cesspool or whatever they had, that with this groundwater being high.
Oh, that's right.
It's, got a lot of people going, oops,
Plus,
they shouldn't have had that party on.
plus you gotta dig up the yard to get to it. So this is the time to do it because the grass will be green next month. And it comes back in. You don't want to do it in the middle of the summertime.
True.
Yeah, but back in the day when people didn't have sewage treatment plants, if you could use your septic system too much, it would come out of the ground and it didn't smell good and you get sick.
Yeah. It's an overflow.
We don't have this problem.
Yeah, typically this time of year, we do about 20,000 gallons, and we're close to 25.
Oh, good.
I know that.
Hello.
Black kid.
So you have to share with us?
Yeah, so I've just gone over with the Board of Selectmen. So in 2019, we got the funding to do the codification. Takes close to 5 years to get complete. We are actually on track to get it done so that I can submit 2 articles. One is to renumber all of the bylaws, and 2 is accept a codified position, codified edition. Codification is the codification is it highlights errors, inconsistencies, outdated references to publications in Mass General Law. And it affects accuracy, clarity, and enforceability of the code. So in our bylaw, we might reference Mass General Law 36-22 and Mass General Law changed it to Mass General Law 44-6. So they go through all of that and catch up on it. So they make all those adjustments. So I went through all of these. I went through all of these changes that we're going to do, and there wasn't one for the sewer. But I wanted to make sure you guys knew that we're going to be coming forward with it.
Okay,
So I got sign-offs like, if there was something in the bylaw that pertained to the Conservation Commission, I had them look at them and sign off on it. I'm just making sure that, yeah, I didn't have one for the sewer. So, like I said, I just wanted to kind of make you guys aware of it,
okay,
that there are changes going on. I don't need a sign off from you guys. I may, after we get the codification done, something might come up. But that'll be coming forward, for,
okay. So if you need us, if anything does come up and you need
Yeah.
a vote, just let us
yeah,
know.
all right, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's a long process.
Just a couple, just you just raised a couple questions for me. We don't have a codified, I mean, what does that mean? We don't.
So, the town, in Kingston, the town clerk has been updating the bylaws, the general bylaws every year. So when we pass something at, town meeting to change a bylaw, to amend a bylaw, to insert a new bylaw, we get those bylaw changes approved by the Attorney General. Once they're approved by the Attorney General, I would go in and I would go and adjust the general bylaws and I'd print out new copies every year. I was doing that on a Word document. So they suggest you get a codification every 5 to 10 years. We haven't done one since 1994 codification. So it was time. That's when I started working on trying to get the funding. It took a few years to get the funding, but finally we did. And now we're going to be up to date. And it will be up, they automatically go in. As soon as you have a town meeting, they'll go in and update it all. So we can get the approval from the Attorney General. And the best part about it is that it will have search capabilities,
Oh, good.
all that other stuff, by word. Thank God. I mean, it's
Gotta read through the thing or memorizing it.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
good,
people
good.
call me all the time, like, what bylaw is this? What bylaw is that? It's like, oh, But I mean, you can't keep up with it. I had gotten the funding in the past I was doing the zoning and the general bylaw. And while I was working on trying to get the codification again on both, I found out that the planning board or the zoning board, planning board got funding through their department, not before town meeting. They went through the department budget and had it done. The question now is anybody able to update it? I'm not sure that's the case.
Because they have so many dots between numbers, it's amazing. It's 0.2, 0.3, 0.4.
Yeah.
That gets good. So that's good. That answers that question. The second one is we are in the process of doing some amendments based on our last special town meeting that I'm working on predominantly and with these guys to clarify who is on the sewer, who's entitled to the sewer, who isn't. And that addresses the 40B question largely, and but who was originally on it back when we did this 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So just that's not
So
going to show up.
would that be amendments or would that be new bylaws?
This would probably be mostly amendments.
Amendments, yeah.
I've got a draft.
So the amendments would have to bring before town meeting,
Right.
once it gets approved
Well,
by town.
These are our rules and regulations.
Oh, your rules and
Our rules,
regulations.
our
Okay,
regulations,
that's different.
Okay.
That's different.
So all right, that answers that question too. It's not really a regular, it's not a bylaw, it's just our rules. So that's not,
Yeah.
all right.
So I don't track the rules and regulations, but there may be reference in your rules and regulations where the state has actually changed
Yeah.
some stuff.
You can find that easy in this.
Yeah. Won't be hard, especially if we have bylaw.
The original
Yeah.
bylaw to go by and see if it's still in existence.
But if you brought anything new for the bylaws, I would be able to.
But that's
get those
another important point. We gotta look at our bylaws because they shouldn't change, I don't think, but I really hadn't put that together that our rules don't, I know we needed a public hearing and all that. So procedurally, we might want to, that'll open the door. So in the next 2 months.
Would your bylaws on pertaining to who has to have it and stuff, is that part of the general bylaw too, or is that just part of your rules and regulations?
That's part of the rules and regulations, but we have general bylaws that reference,
Yeah,
mass general law and reference, our rate schedule and penalties and
Yeah.
things like that,
so I don't think any of that was affected. I think it was actually in there accordingly. But if something changes in the meantime, I'll come back up and get you.
Right, that's important.
So.
Good.
Yeah, nice having a project off like this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Okay, Dave, updates.
Most recent stuff going on for me anyway, and up at the plant. We continue to get great results. I just sent in my monthly report to the DEP, and everything's looking probably as good as it ever has, which is great.
Good.
Usually working through the seasonal changes, going from the colder tanks to warmer tanks, and then starting to increase your septage. Typically, you get some sort of hiccup or imbalance, but everything's been going well, so that's great. Tomorrow, the meeting that I had done on Zoom for chemical bidding, the bids actually go out tomorrow. So that'll be exciting. Hopefully we'll know relatively soon how much we're gonna save, if anything. CDM had asked us to go around the Indian Pond Country Club and remove some of the grates that were stubbornly, set in there, wouldn't move for the general contractor. Had the guys go out last week and just free those up. So I think there were 11 in total. Recently, we had Methuen Construction come in and replace a VFD that runs one of our effluent pumps. That was a week ago Friday. After running for a week, it had a ground fault error in the VFD, so we've shut it off. And we're waiting now for Methuen Construction to get back to us as far as when they're going to come back and look into it. We shut it off as a precaution that I don't want to blow this thing up. And right now we're functioning off 2. The third's more a backup. So hopefully they'll get to us pretty soon. I sent them an email this morning for some updates to see when they come. I haven't heard anything yet. And as far as flow with all the rain activity lately, just want to give you an idea of the average daily flow for last month was 367,000 gallons.
And
So I don't know if that's, a lot of it's tied into wet weather flow. Well, we're under our threshold that the state says we have to do something about it by quite a bit.
Yeah.
That our cost savings to go try and reduce this I&I. The payoff factor is not there for us at this point, but it's something that going forward, we might want to start looking at, some areas we might want to do some less expensive mitigation of it.
Because we did do an I&I report just a few years ago,
Yes.
and we came back, at that time anyway, came back in good shape.
If the threshold of doing some remediation was on a scale of 1 to 100, say it was at 40, we were down around, say, 7 for the amount of I&I we have. So overall, it's minimal. You look at some communities and their flows double or triple.
okay, big problem.
And ours, if we're averaging typically on a dry weather day, somewhere around 310,000.
That was my
It's-
question.
It's a very small increase, but it's still an increase. It's
Right.
something we've noticed.
Attributed to what, sump pump discharge,
It could be some pumps, it could be a combination
crack on the
of,
line somewhere.
yeah, some of the lateral lines. Most of them are newer, but some pumps, there could be just the manhole covers themselves, water
Oh, yeah,
tracking down
yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
And if you have an area that's slightly depressed, like half of the manholes on Smith Lane,
Like
that
that one down the bottom, in that valley
Sure.
is always flooded out.
Every one of those manholes, it's a little recessed, is an area where you might get, drips that come in.
Yeah.
It's just a cumulative process.
So
Gotcha.
the question, we have flow on each pump station. It ties back to this, right?
We have our meters for the pumps, but not necessarily flow meters. The flow meters we have at Jones River, Rocky Nook, and Marion Drive.
Okay, so the flow, if we looked at, those would be the ones, Jones River would be, well, you really need Rocky Nook's the big one. That I'm thinking about. If we can take the flow relative to this 57,000 average flow increase. If we went to the one at Rocky Nook and found that it's 50,000 over, just
Right.
give us the, saying, we're gonna look here to get there.
Yeah,
And you know what I'm saying? Just,
sure.
But even the pump hour meters you should be able to calculate that out.
They're
Whatever your
increased.
flow is, 100 gallons a minute times, whatever.
yeah, on the graph, but I went by the Jones River, Rosemary and I went to breakfast, and we had that storm surge and high tide.
It's coming up in the driveway.
It was against the foundation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm saying, this is what Dave mentioned the other day, and I'm saying, dike time, we need to put a solid concrete wall there. It was right there. I mean, it was that
Yeah.
far from the threshold.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So inside the station, we have a series of sandbags and plastic lined up in there. So if anything were to track in, it'll just be contained in that space.
Higher than the foundation there.
Yeah, so it's a solid foundation that comes up above the threshold, and just where the threshold for the door is cut down.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's your
Yeah,
point of
yeah,
ingress if it were to come in. And I started looking online when all those events were happening the last week or so. There is a product that I started looking at, and you can put almost like a weir, a
Yeah,
slotted
yeah,
weir
right. I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
along the threshold.
Yep.
And you can stick in basically a slotted piece.
Yep.
And it's got a rubber gasket on it, and it should hold the majority of the water back. So that's something I'm gonna look at.
Just like a
Yeah,
But
curve
even,
on
I
dike.
mean, that's
Pull the boards out.
the right
Pull the
idea
boards
for that.
out.
But I mean, when I went by, trying to think now, I didn't take a picture. I should have taken a picture. There's too many cars around there. But either way, that kind of storm surge, we didn't have a big northeast. It was a southeast wind. It wasn't a northeast wind. If it had been around the northeast, who knows how high it would have been.
Yeah, I'll dig out a picture. I've got one that the water's literally at the
Yeah.
threshold.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting inside with sandbags, just
But that definitely should be
waiting
on
to see if it was coming up.
definitely should be on our list of, because you could put 20,000 gallons real quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think just keep pumping and pumping and pumping.
Well, the problem is in the stations themselves, you just have a small sump pump in there, and it's not going to keep the Atlantic Ocean out of it.
All right, that's really important. That's
It's on the radar.
definitely the radar. Good.
Never a dull moment. So, yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for me for this week.
Well, Leaching Fields Davis property, I went to Plymouth Court on Friday with Jay, and he presented the case that, what it basically comes down to is High Pines are saying we don't have access to the Davis lot through our abutting lot that's owned by wastewater department. And that's the conversation. Jay, I thought, presented a very good case on why we do have access. And it was the judge is going to make his determination and get back to us.
Mhm.
So that's that. We have no updates, nothing further today from Jim. So
I
it's
guess there
the
was a holiday,
status.
so.
Yeah,
Was there a relative timeline that they expressed that we'd hear something?
the judge was ending the session saying to Jay, so it's status quo. And Jay said, we're under construction now. We have crews out there. He said, I know your docket is full, but the sooner you can make a decision, we'll know what direction we're going in. And that was how it was left. So in segueing on that, we got an email late this afternoon from Keith Hickey. Apparently Channel 7 interviewed him about the conditions of Indian Pond Estate roads. And the news reporter wanted to know if we wanted to make any statements about the preliminary injunction to stop the project. And
They're private roads, but they're paper streets. They're up there, were approved by the planning board as egresses to properties. So anything under a paper street is, if a utility needs to go in there, they can go in and do whatever they want.
And I found that on Friday, that wasn't part of the discussion.
Okay.
It was clear that we could put utilities in the road, because that was a deeded right.
Right.
But it's whether or not we can build the leaching fields in the Davis property and go through the abutting lot.
Okay.
So I just got this, I was did, I guess, a few minutes ago, technically. And the questions I had on what you just said is, if we want to make a comment, well, this is to my understanding, based on what you just explained on the court case, the issue of the roads never came up in terms of their condition, correct?
Correct.
And we'll cover that base with our contractor and our contract in detail. And I think court case will speak for itself. We're not in a fight. We've been doing this very conscientiously. I don't know what talking to them would do. I think if it was my recommendation is we work through Keith as the town administrator for his advice. And I don't want to deal with Channel 7,
Yeah, and,
personally.
and honestly, I don't think we have anything to share.
Right.
I mean, I think, I would be fine telling Keith that at this point, there's nothing for us to say. And, if it's either we're gonna be able to continue based on the judge's decision, or there'll be a halt. And Jay said we'll appeal it, but I mean, even at that point, either yes, we're moving forward, or no, we're not.
If he prevails in the injunction, temporary, I guess it would be at this point. The cost to us contractually would be significant. There's all that. The downside is there's no upside. Let's put it that way. And I don't want to. This is very interesting to be put in this position, because we're not getting. The case was different than the question from the media. So that means the question was being asked of the media different than they were asking. So who's on first kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to answer that. All I know is that the commission's done over the last several years everything correctly to get to this point. And that includes removing trucks from the road, lots of them. Where we are going to have a direct impact, we're paving the road from curb to curb, as we did with every one of those projects, sewer lines from the beginning, not the entire thing. And I don't know what else we could do that would be better. So
Yeah.
the facts kind of stand.
Was it specifically asked about what's gonna happen with the streets? I think, was that a specific question that
It
Channel 7
says,
had?
says the same, the reporter asking about the road impact of the sewer project. And the condition of the roads doesn't impact our project. And, Jay made it clear that, we've been doing work in the roads for the past few years in preparation of this. And we've always notified the property owner ahead of time, and have always left it in the state that we found it.
Mhm.
So,
We're only obligated to put the road back the way it is, because it's existing.
right.
We're gonna better that.
And Brian, as part of the contract, were they gonna go from corner to corner?
Curb to curb.
Repave from
Curb
curb to
to
curb?
curb.
So it's gonna be put into better condition than it's in.
Oh, yeah,
now.
yeah. For that stretch, we're going to excavate that one half of that long parcel.
Mhm.
And we're doing that for the benefit of the neighbors who wanted the buffer to be there. Tying all these things together the right way makes the story, the true story, important. So we would be in the dirt if we didn't have to go to help the neighbors.
Exactly.
And I noticed the neighbors conveniently paved their sidewalk in front of the two houses that would have had the sewer in the street.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
So that means, they're looking at, well, maybe the truck will drive on the sidewalk and, so I'll leave that at that. Just, we're gonna fix the road that we excavate, not just the patch, but curb to curb, including the Cape Cod berms, just like they are now. And we're doing it at particular 500 feet or whatever it is for maintaining a buffer zone for those neighbors who live in Indian Pond Estates and having the same buffer they have now between the T layover
Right.
and their house.
So we're not taking down that hill, that whole last stretch, we're leaving it there, avoiding it and coming in. And then going up grade.
So that time with 1,700 truck trips off the road,
Oh.
because I read this as he's looking for the road being paved from the beginning to end. That's what that says to me.
Yeah,
And the road's fine. It's 20 years old.
The
It's
road,
got
I think,
many,
is still,
many
the
patches
still the original binder.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a finish coat on it.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
That's yeah, but I mean, there's like 50 patches for sewer and water connections, whatever they might be, wherever you were, or repairs or something. So, I mean, that's, the contractor's got that under control, I think, so.
Yeah, by us doing the work through that stretch is only gonna improve that stretch of
Right.
road. That's how I see it.
So based on, do we wanna, I'd ask Elaine, if you would just touch base with Keith,
yeah,
just to say, you know,
do you have nothing to share?
yeah, we
with the
talked
board?
about this, so we can see what we said on the,
Yeah,
you know, just, I'm not looking for a fight, we just wanna get going.
Yeah.
And we're trying to expedite it, so it's done before the winter.
right, okay. That's good. That's the Davis property, town meeting articles, we still
I have, I just have one thing that
Yes.
just goes back to the leaching fields. This is, came in this yesterday,
Oh,
the Nature Conservancy. It seems that Gene just made it. I mean, I thought I had it. I was gonna bring it. This is the formal, it's made out to me as Golden Environmental, because she saw my email. So, but that's a cover letter. But the form behind it is the form we need to fill out for the costs that are in, the final costs that are in the conservation restriction, and that whole thing's being finalized as we speak.
okay,
Between mainly CDM's doing the last piece and I've been involved back and forth. So we gotta come up with roughly 60 something thousand. I think I gave you that number right. And we'll be having to put up, I don't know if it's two checks, those are like, I think it's one check representing two amounts. One's a mitigation payment fee and then a maintenance fee. And Nature Conservancy takes care of that, and they've approved our relationship with Nick and Natural Heritage, so
oh,
we're
good,
done on that.
very good, thank
The
you.
only thing left is you're gonna have to sign, I think, for the commission, the final document before they can actually start cutting trees down, which is like, so somewhere in the next day or two, we'll be getting a
Good.
document to sign.
Okay. So do we want to take a vote that I said, just that when that comes in, I'll sign it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we authorize the chair, Elaine Fiore, to sign the documents on behalf of the town and the sewer commission with the Natural Heritage Program.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Elaine, I,
Bill,
just so we don't get any hiccups.
Always looking for them. All right, good.
Okay, town meeting articles, nothing's changed there. Other than that, I think we're in good shape. Oh, Jeannie, you want to talk about, you with Munich, you've set up a date to see how much lead time we need to implement the rate change.
Yep, so it's gonna be a 3-hour session, with Tyler and Adrian. They set me up with Philip, who does the interface. So, once I get more information, I'll work it through with them, and all of these, courses have been like prepaid.
So how, what's the date of that? Do you have a date scheduled with them yet?
The 26th.
26.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, because, Ken Morelli said we need
June 1st.
June 1st if we were gonna put anything in the bills. So we're tracking the dates and getting stuff done. So next meeting, we should have some real solid stuff. So,
I should get the turtle notice any minute. It's been nice and warm.
that's true. It's been good weather.
All the
That's
snakes
true.
are out. Everything is out in force. And I haven't called it. These turtles are way ahead of the snakes usually. So some reason it's lying to me. But we
What are they
should,
hiding under a rock?
they're all right.
But yeah, there's a painted rock in the corner.
And we have to wait for the turtles to wake up there before we can start digging up the leaching field. So if we find any that have been hibernating, they move them outside of a fence the way, but so we don't hurt them. Pretty smart move. We have a turtle on our property that we've seen them many times.
Oh,
You were there when the dog found it, right? Remember the dog? Remember John's dog found the turtle? A couple of years ago?
Um,
All right,
anybody have
Good.
anything else?
Nope. Motion to adjourn?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.